Overcoming fear. The thing about a large majority of everyone on this earth is we all experience fear to some extent. Some more severe than others, but we all know what fear feels like. We all know that feeling. The thing I learned about fear is that very thing that you are scared of is that very thing that you may need to overcome. Let me give an example. Fear is a feeling, it's an emotion. Me having the disability that I have, as you can imagine, there's always some form of fear as to what the future holds. Because my disability is progressive, there's always that fear of what does the next 5 to 10 years look like? Am I going to be a vegetable? Am I going to be able to feed myself? Am I going to be able to talk? Because for those of you who do not know, is my disability takes away your ability to walk, eat, and breathe over time. My disability is SMA type 2. So the reason why I say it takes away, will it take away my ability to talk? Is because when you talk, what happens? You're utilizing, when you talk, you're moving your jaw, right? You're moving your mouth. This all is operated from a muscle. It takes some form of strength and effort. Am I going to, what does the next 5 to 10 years look like? Am I going to be able to talk? Am I going to be able to keep my head up? Because at the time of this recording, I've been struggling quite significantly with my neck support. Where 9 out of 10 times lately, I have been eating like this. I'll take a bite like this. Yeah, I'll take a bite with my utensil. Take a bite. And then I get tired because just from going like this to put the effort to like eat from the utensil to then like picking up my head to chew and stuff, it takes a lot of effort. It's lately been very tiring where I have been chewing like this, resting my neck like this. So back to what I was saying is fear is an emotion. Again, back to, because fear is an emotion, there are only one of two things you can do about it. Is one, or three things. Is one, you can let that fear take take hold of this moment. Having the remaining days that, if that happens, you take away all of your good days that you could have had spent focusing on something more positive, more uplifting, something that was more enjoyable. But because you focused to focus more on that fear, you missed out on all of these good days. Time that you would never get back. And not to mention that just because you have that emotion and just because you are afraid of that thing from happening doesn't necessarily mean that it will happen. And two, fear, it's an emotion. And the thing I learned about emotions is you must develop your emotional intelligence. Why am I afraid of this thing? Am I really afraid of this thing because of XYZ? By me being afraid of XYZ, what is it preventing from me actually achieving? Because I'm afraid of this very thing from happening. It gives you the opportunity to better develop your emotional intelligence. Get an understanding of your emotions a little bit more. And 3 is fear prevents us from doing a lot of things. And because it prevents us from doing a lot of things, what happens? We let that emotion take control of us, take hold of us, and it then causes anxiety, makes us anxious. Oh, I'm scared about the future. I'm scared of if this happens. And again, fear is an emotion. I know I said that several times now. And emotions are there to help us discover something about who we are. If you didn't have that emotion, you wouldn't have the opportunity to better have a more emotional intelligence than most. If it wasn't for that feeling of fear that you have, you wouldn't have maybe developed the empathy that it takes to empathize with others around you who are in similar situations. If it wasn't for that feeling of fear, you wouldn't have the opportunity to learn the feeling of it, the purpose of it, the meaning behind it, where it then creates the ability for you to help someone else who is feeling the same way. Back to my disability. There are a lot of uncertainties with my life because my disability is progressive. I'm very well aware of it. More aware than things that I talk about. But I cannot fear that just because this is possible, meaning I end up in a vegetable state, or I may not be able to talk, or I may not be able to eat, or eventually I may need a feeding tube, or whatever the circumstance may be. I can't let that fear stop me. Because as it is, one, I'm limited, I'm restricted by default, right? But if I let that fear hold me back more than the restrictions life already brings upon me, then I am allowing my disability to dictate who I am and who I become. By me not letting that feeling of fear dictate who I am, I do not let it dictate who I become. I decide that. And that's where your power lies. Your power lies in feeling the fear. Feel it. Understand the meaning behind it. Understand it. So you can say, okay, hey, this is the emotion. This is how I'm feeling. Okay, what do I got to do to get to the next step? How can I overcome this feeling? How can I get through this? And you slowly start to implement necessary changes, or you slowly start to adapt to your situation. And you begin to find these things that ultimately help you and lead you to where it is you need to go. And I use the word interesting. I find it interesting that isn't it interesting that while we are in the midst of going through these trials and tribulations, and we don't understand why certain things are happening to us, but somehow when we continue to move on with our day. We continue to put one foot in front of the other. Isn't it interesting how in the moment nothing seems to be getting better, or nothing seems to make sense? But when we look back, when we reflect back, everything is different. Somehow everything that happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly, ultimately led us to where it is we needed to go. That is the meaning of life. So, if you are someone who is feeling fear, or you are someone who is going through fear, maybe there's something you are going through, something you're experiencing, maybe there is a fear of outcome. In today's world, currently, there are a lot of uncertainties going around where it is very understandable why you may be feeling immense fear. But do not let that fear prevent you losing out on all of these good days that could have been spent enjoyed, not wasted. I hope this video was able to bring some form of value to and for you. As I continue to make these videos, I too am learning, I too am growing, I too am finding ways to better develop my communicational skills to help bring the most value to and for you in any way that I possibly can. I love you, I appreciate you, and remember, grow through what you go through. Much love. I was going to stop the video right there. I bought myself a clicker trying to record content much better. And it is great. It's just not working. So I'm going to keep this in the video because I think it's kind of funny. But I'm pushing this I'm trying to figure this out. I should have probably read to see how it works, but I didn't. And I'm trying to figure out how to stop this video.